Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Patrick Dang here. Now, a book that I recently discovered is a book called The Wealth Elite by Rainer Zittelman. What they did in this book is that they did a lot of research and they interviewed a bunch of millionaires and a few billionaires, and they were trying to decode exactly what attitudes or skills that they had that enabled them to be successful. Now, one of the key statistics that they found in this book is that 70% of the people, right, successful people that they interviewed said that they owe 70% of their success to their sales skills. Now, this is an incredibly powerful insight because you would think of all the things that influence somebody or help them become successful in life. A lot of these people said that it was their ability to sell. So what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna show you exactly some of the top reasons for why you should be in sales, or if you're already in sales, why you should continue moving forward with it and to become a better seller, because there are so much more benefits than meets the eye. Now, before we go ahead and get started with this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell. Now, talking about sales again, it's no surprise that sales is one of the most valuable skills that you can have when it comes to business. If you kind of look at a lot of successful business people out there, they attribute a lot of their success to sales, and they got their career started in sales, right? So for example, if you guys know Starbucks, Howard Schultz is one of the people responsible for enabling Starbucks to be this huge global brand. And guess what he was doing when he started his career? He was a salesperson at the company Xerox, right? Another successful entrepreneur, Gary Vaynerchuk, right? He says that he learned entrepreneurship and his ability to sell when he was a teenager selling baseball cards at the age of 14 or something like that. So obviously, learning how to sell did translate into what he is doing now. And even for myself, way back when I was in college, one of my first jobs or internships actually was working at a wholesale men's fashion agency where I would sell different clothing and products and shoes and things like that. So obviously you can kind of see the trend here is that learning how to sell is a very valuable skill. Now, the interesting part is that a lot of people, especially due to what you see on TV or the media and movies like that, they portray salespeople as sleazy or slimy, and that's a lot of reasons for why people don't really want to get into it. But I want to actually dispel the myths and show you that there are actually a lot of positives when it comes to sales, and you actually don't have to be sleazy or slimy. The first thing I'm going to talk about is that sales is the lifeblood of any business, right? It doesn't matter what product or service you're selling, doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're not generating sales, you don't actually have a business, right? So, for example, what kind of business doesn't make any money, right? That's not necessarily a business. And here's the thing, you can have the most amazing product, the most amazing service, right? But if you can't actually go out there and communicate exactly how you can bring value to another person, there's no reason for that person to buy. And if they don't buy, you can't generate money. And if you don't generate any money, you can't pay for employees, you can't do research and development to make your products and services better, you can't even afford rent or keep the lights on. So obviously, if you're not generating sales, you don't have a business. And this is very critical because whether you want to be an entrepreneur in the future or if you're working for another company, you got to realize that generating sales is one of the most important aspects of a business. And if you want to position yourself in a way where people see you as valuable, if you're able to bring in customers, generate money, of course, you're gonna be a valuable asset to a company, or you have the skills to start your own company. And what's really interesting is that, the reason why salespeople can get paid so much, right, especially because when they're selling something, they get commission, meaning a percentage of the total value of the sale or the total profit of the sale. The reason is because it's very difficult to do and it's bringing so much value to the company, right? Other roles like HR, accounting, and operations are very important as well, but they are all functions to support the business. But when it comes to actually selling, that's the main thing that is the lifeblood of the business that allows all the other departments in a business to survive. Without sales, you can't have HR, you can't have operations, you can't have anything because there's no money to pay for these things. So that's one of the first benefits of sales, right? Sales is the lifeblood of every business. I don't care what you're selling, you gotta sell stuff, right? The second benefit of learning how to sell is that you actually develop your people skills, okay? So obviously learning how to sell is very valuable. Whether you want to be valuable at a company or you want to start your own company, you gotta learn how to sell. Now, here's a second byproduct of learning how to sell is that you actually become better with people, because in sales, you're talking to people basically almost every single day. You're reaching out to them via email or LinkedIn, right? You're really working on your communication skills and you're learning to become more influential and persuasive because you have to motivate other people to buy or buy into whatever it is you're selling. There are also a lot of other benefits like learning how to deal with objections or learning how to deal with rejection, how to make small talk with conversations or keep conversations going, or how to keep people engaged in the conversation conversation, and how to even close a deal and get someone to actually move forward with an action, right? So these skills, obviously, they are transactional in a way where you're, exchanging your product or service for money or something like that. However, if you apply these skill sets into your everyday life, you would find that they're not too far off. So let me show you what I mean. When you're selling, all you're really doing is you're motivating another person to take some type of action. Usually it's to give you money in exchange for a product or service. Now, in everyday life, think about when you have to persuade another person to take an action, right? It could be in your relationships, or it could be, talking to your kids or getting them to do a certain thing and helping them go in the right direction in their life. Or it could be maybe when you're purchasing a new house or getting a new car loan, learning how to deal with people, getting the best prices, right? These are all skills that not only do you use in sales, but it applies to your everyday life. So even if you don't consider yourself in sales or you don't have a traditional sales job, you're always selling, right? Whether it's to convince people at the company that you know what you're doing and they should follow you as a leader, or maybe just communicating with people in your family or people in your friends and you want to help them out, but you got to persuade them to go in the right direction if you have certain ideas of how they should do certain things. Having these people skills is key. And even when it comes to handling objections or dealing with emotions, right? Learning these skill sets is very valuable, right? If you know how to stay calm, cool, collected, and persuasive, and be persuasive and do this in sales, you can definitely do it when it comes to your everyday life. Now, the last reason for why I feel that everybody should get some type of sales experience is that by learning how to sell or getting some experience, you develop this goal-getting mentality or goal-getting mindset, and you learn how to take responsibility for your life. Now, depending on what kind of sales job you have or already have or you're interested in, you might get paid a base salary and you might get paid a commission on top of that, depending on what you sell. Some sales jobs is pure commission and you get a bigger slice of commission, but you gotta sell, right? And when you're in these situations where you're getting paid and it's proportional to your results that you deliver to the company, so if you wanna make more money, you're responsible for your own income. If you're lazy and you don't wanna do anything, nobody's gonna wanna pay you. But if you're hungry and you really go after it, right? Going after customers, convincing them to buy, and generating more sales for your company, then in that situation, you're generating more revenue for the company and for yourself, right? And it's ultimately up to you and nobody's gonna do it for you. And a lot of people, they don't like sales because they don't like responsibility. They don't want to be accountable for the success of a company or a success for a territory, right? They just can't handle the pressure because they're afraid of failing if they're not able to perform. Now, for salespeople, the advantage is that even though you're going through all this pain and you're taking on all this responsibility, by putting yourself in this difficult situation, you have the opportunity and upside to generate a lot of money. And on top of that, you develop this character where you take responsibility over your own life. And if things don't go the way you want them to go, you say, yeah, that was my fault. Here's how I can improve. Versus other people who just run away from these type of challenges. So translating these sales skills or this sales mindset, this goal-getting mindset, and applying it into your everyday life, you start developing this attitude to take responsibility in all aspects of your life, right? For example, if you want to get fit and healthy, the only person that's gonna eat well and go to the gym is you, right? You cannot blame anybody else. Or let's say in your relationships, right? If you want better relationships with your significant other, family, friends, and like that, you gotta go out there and build these relationships or maintain them and enhance them, right? Nobody is going to do it for you. So you can kind of see that, no matter what aspect we're talking about in your life, taking responsibility is one of the first steps to actually improving. And in sales, you have to take responsibility, so you start developing this habit. And obviously, this is gonna take a lot of conscious effort, a lot of energy, a lot of challenge, a lot of responsibility. But if you are able to succeed in sales and apply these skill sets into your everyday life, every other aspect of your life suddenly starts improving because you're developing the skill sets, one, but really you're developing the attitude and mindset to succeed and take responsibility over your own life. Now again, I really do believe that people should have some type of sales experience, sometime in their life, but I'm not saying that you have to be a salesperson for the rest of your life, right? You can get some experience and learn these skill sets and move on to the next thing, but I really do feel that if you haven't tried sales yet, or it's something that you've, been thinking about a little bit, it doesn't hurt to try. You can try it out, you can learn some new things and you learn some new skill sets, and whether you have a good experience in sales or a bad one, you're going to learn some powerful lessons that you can use in your everyday life and improve it. So that said, that's pretty much what we got to cover for this video. And if you liked it, go ahead and give it a like. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell if you want to be notified when these new training videos are coming out, because I'm going to be releasing them every single week. And one last thing, if you want to take your sales game to the next level and learn how you can sell anything to anybody, or if you're just getting started in sales and you want some type of guide, well, I created a sales guide for you. All you got to do is click the link in the description and it's going to take you to my website where you can get your hands on this free sales guide on how to sell anything to anybody. It's going to be great if you're a beginner all the way to intermediate and advanced. I'm really confident you are going to learn something no matter what type of sales experience you have. So again, click the link in the description to get your hands on the free guide. And in the comments, let me know what kind of videos you want to see next, because again, I'm always open to hearing your suggestions or what challenges you have around sales. And you know, if a lot of people are asking for a certain thing, I'll make a video about that. So if you got a sales question, leave it in the comments. So with that said, hope you guys learned a little something. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you watching these videos, and I enjoy making them. And I'm gonna see you guys in the next one.